Who appears on our $5 bill, helped reconcile French and English Canada, and fought for our autonomy against the British Empire? On July 11, 1896, Sir Wilfred Laurier became Canada's 7th Prime Minister, and some say the greatest leader the country has ever had. Canada has designated November 20th as Sir Wilfred Laurier Day, celebrating his many achievements. And here at Laurier House, close to 5,000 annual visitors get a first-hand look at the private life of the former Prime Minister.
Wilfrid Laurier was born on November 20th, 1841, in Saint-Lin, Quebec. Later in life, Laurier came to be known as a very charming and witty man, as one of the best orators Canada has ever had, and as an aristocrat who was always impeccably dressed. But his childhood was quite different. He was the son of a farmer who learned to speak English while working at his first job as a store clerk selling dry goods to farmers. Politics was always a topic of discussion at the dinner table, as both his parents were involved in several community organizations. After obtaining his law degree from McGill in 1864, Laurier ran the newspaper Le Défricheur. It was during this time that he discovered his true passion for politics. In 1874, Laurier was elected as a Liberal member to the House of Commons. Wilfrid Laurier became the first French Canadian to lead the Liberal Party in 1887. The party at the time had lost election after election, and Laurier's prospects looked bleak. But he was underestimated. He gradually built up his party's strength and eventually led the Liberals to victory during the 1896 election.
French Canadians at the time were fighting to preserve their culture and resented any British influence, while English Canadians were fighting to protect their own rights and supported closer ties with England. During his political career, Laurier devoted himself to achieving one main objective: creating national unity.
Through his policies, Laurier sought to reconcile the interests of French and English Canada. During the Manitoba schools question, Laurier's government implemented a plan that allowed a limited amount of religious teaching and instruction in French in Manitoba schools. This plan was seen as a compromise between the two extremes and eventually earned him the nickname of the Great Conciliator.
In 1899, Laurier was once again put to the test. During the Boer War, Britain asked Canada for military support. British Canadians supported this idea, while French Canadians wanted nothing to do with the war. Once again, Laurier got a chance to demonstrate his great mediation skills. He sent a volunteer force to help the British Army, again opting for a compromise that satisfied both groups.
After another election in 1900, Laurier was at the peak of his power. This golden age saw unprecedented growth and prosperity for Canada. During this time, immigration expanded greatly in the West, which led to the creation of Alberta and Saskatchewan in 1905. Despite all his success, it is said that perhaps Wilfrid Laurier's greatest failure was his ambitious railway scheme. Laurier hoped to expand on former Conservative Prime Minister John A. Macdonald's national railway system. However, his project turned out to be a financial disaster that reflected poorly on Laurier and the Liberals. Another unpopular policy was Laurier's Navy Bill, once again creating divisions between French and English Canada. This time, however, his compromise failed to satisfy either group. Another controversy that eventually led to the end of his reign as Prime Minister arose regarding Laurier's support for trade reciprocity with the U.S. He was unsuccessful, as the program was rejected and perceived by many as being anti-British. Laurier's golden age saw its end when Conservative Robert Borden won the election of 1911, which was centered mainly around the issues of reciprocity and the Navy. His political career left Laurier with an extraordinary reputation as one of the greatest leaders Canada has ever had. But what about his private life? What was Wilfrid Laurier like beyond the world of politics?
Both inside and outside the House, Laurier was known as a charmer. Rumors even circulated that he was having an affair with a colleague's wife who bore his son. Others speculate that he had a very long and happy marriage with his wife Zoe Lafontaine, a piano teacher he met as a student. Laurier himself was an accomplished flute player.
And how did the former Prime Minister acquire the Sir in front of his name? In 1897, during Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee celebrations, he was knighted, officially adopting the title of Sir Wilfred Laurier. Many called the Prime Minister an impeccable dresser. He was always photographed in his most elegant attire, and was rarely seen without a diamond stick pin he called his lucky horseshoe. The first French-Canadian and fourth longest-serving Prime Minister of Canada, Sir Wilfrid Laurier has made a permanent mark on Canadian history. When he died in the winter of 1919, the entire House of Commons attended the funeral, along with over 100,000 people who lined the streets of Ottawa.
Having served Canada for 45 years, by the time of his death, Laurier was already considered a Canadian legend. He is commemorated by over a dozen place names throughout Canada, including townships, lakes, villages, a university, a hotel, and even 2 mountains. And now you know.